guys, as promised, here is the second half of the DIno Man tutorial. So we've already used a transform tool to change scale and direction of his head and the placement there. We've used the move tool to move items around, and we've used the magic wand to get rid of white space and the lasso tool to get rid of white space. So now what we're going to use is the clone stamp, and we're going to copy the skin of the dinosaur onto the man's face. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm on the man layer, dinosaur is right underneath it, and over here in the left hand toolbar, right hand side, I'm going to come down to what looks like a stamp, and I'm going to click on it. That's the clone stamp. Now after you get the clone stamp from the top toolbar, you want to change the size of it. Ooh, that's ginormous. You want to change the size of it so that you're picking up just the area you want to, and you want it to be a soft round brush. Then I'm going to drop the opacity somewhere between 15 and 30, not too much. And then right here where it says sample, it defaults to current layer, and we want current and below. So now look at my cursor. My cursor is a circle right now. I'm going to put it on top of the dinosaur, hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, and notice that it became a bullseye. So again, this is just my cursor just sitting there, and then when I hold down the Alt key, it becomes a bullseye. So I'm going to click once with my left hand, or my left mouse key. I let go of the Alt key, I let go of my mouse. I'm going to come to his face. Do you see how it's green right here? Okay, so watch his face. Now do you see the plus sign that just appeared over my dinosaur? So I Alt clicked and selected that area of my dinosaur, and wherever that plus sign goes, it's copying my dinosaur skin onto this man's face. It's also doing it really subtle, like, because I dropped that opacity down to 24%, so it's only getting little bits at a time. Now, here's where I'm going to run into trouble. Let's say I'm continuing over here. See how my plus sign's now just on the yellow? Now watch it. Now I'm picking up city buildings and putting them on his face. That is not what I want. So I'm going to Control Z to undo that. So you're going to have to continually Alt-click, pick up areas of the dinosaur that you do want, and keep paying attention to where that plus sign is moving in from. So again, Alt-click, adding to it, moving it where you need it. So you're going to repeat this until his entire face, his skin rather, is covered. You want to leave his eyeballs, his nose, his mouth, eyebrows, hair. You want to leave them alone, but the rest of the face we're going to cover with dinosaur texture. So I paused for a second and went through and really quickly clone stamped the dinosaur texture onto his face. Now, what I want to do is use my dodge and burn tool to make it work better with his face. So over here on the left-hand side, left-hand toolbar, if you click and hold, the dodge tool looks like a lollipop. Remember, lollipops are light and sweet. The burn tool looks like a fist. Remember, if you punch somebody in the face, you're going to leave a bruise, so that means it's darker. So dodge is light, burn is dark. Once you select the right tool from the top toolbar, you will have to select the size of your brush. Again, soft round, exposure anywhere between 15 and 30, and then the range should match whatever tone you currently have. So I'm going to guess mid-tone, and I'm going to come in here and start shading the side of his nose, inside his eye, maybe a little bit below his cheek here, to try to make him look a little bit more three-dimensional. So I'm going to darken these areas in, and then I might need to go in and lighten some areas. So that's going to take me to this lollipop looking shape, the dodge tool. And again, you change the size of your brush, the type of brush, you can drop the exposure up or down. And I'm going to once again start with midtones because I'm not really sure what this is. So I just made his nose super bright. Looks like I put some sunblock on him. Making his lips stand out more. I can go in and add to his cheek. Maybe I want to make this side a little brighter. So you would go slowly, take your time, make it look realistically. But this is a lot like just shading with your pencil on a piece of paper. But now he's really starting to look like he has that dinosaur face. So now what I want to do is I want to merge my man and my dino layer. To do that, I hold down Shift. I click on Dino. I let go of Shift. Now I'm going to go Control E, like elephant. Control E. Now I have one man layer that I can move around together. I'm going to make a shadow from this layer. So I'm on my man layer. I'm going to take my magic wand and I'm going to click on the negative space, not on top of him, in the empty space around him. That's the negative space. Once I've got my dancing ants from the top toolbar, I select inverse. Sorry, my desk phone rang while I was trying to say that. So I've highlighted my negative space. And I want to select just the DIno Man. So from the top toolbar, I'm going to select inverse. And now, before I put a shadow on here, I'm going to have to add a new layer. So on my layers panel, I'm going to come down here to the plus sign, click on that. I've got a new layer. I'm going to come over here to my left-hand toolbar. I'm going to click on this black square. Make sure it's black. I'm going to come over here to my paint bucket, left-hand toolbar, left-hand side. It may be hiding underneath your gradient tool. And I'm going to paint inside of it. Now it looks like my man just disappeared. My DIno Man's on a layer below him. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to go Control T to transform. I'm going to right click, flip it vertical, and that puts him upside down. And then I can also right click and skew and pull this out, and now it looks like there's this huge shadow coming underneath him. So that's pretty cool. I can move these any direction I want to edit my shadow. I can also right click and change the scale, rotate, warp it if I need to put the pieces where they look most realistic. When I'm happy with my shadow shape, I just hit enter to get rid of that box and apply it. Now, I want to drag this shadow layer underneath my man layer so he's on top of it. And then I'm going to use my move tool to move it around until he's sitting right on top. Now I'm going to Control D to deselect, and I want to go in and fuzz blur my edges, make them a little fuzzy. So I'm going to go to the top toolbar, Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and you can move this around until you see a little preview of your shadow, and then you can let it be like high noon where you see clear edges, or you can really fade it out. I want a little bit of balance in between the two. So I'm going to say okay there. Now it still feels a little bit too dark, so on my layers panel I'm going to drop my opacity down, and now I can see through them. So now I'm pretty much done, but I want to be able to send this to my friends and family who don't have Photoshop to view it, and right now it's a PSD file. So what I'm going to have to do is flatten these layers and save it as a JPEG. So from the top toolbar, I'm going to go Layer, Flatten Image. It's second from the bottom, Layer, Flatten Image. Notice I have one layer now. Now I'm going to go File, Save As, and right here, Save As Type. I'm picking JPEG. So I'm going to save as JPEG, save it, this dialog box appears, you just say OK. And now I can send that picture to my grandma or my aunt or my uncle and show them all my cool Photoshop skills. All right, that's the second half of the lesson. Let me know if you have any questions.